Beautiful conditions we probably had in.
Well, that's what I was getting to. The conditions. How much of a part of the conditions played in this? Because the temperature seems to be dropping, then it will go up. How tricky is that for a rider?
Well, I think massive. I mean, a few of those crashes there we saw, you know, certainly touching the white line. Had it been bone dry and hot, wouldn't have made any difference at all. The fact that it was wet and slippy and cold, it meant it was like ice. And you know, getting that the tyre up to temperature on the left-hand side, you know, all these things play a difference. So temperature and conditions definitely play a part.
And the wind is quite strong around here.
Yeah, the wind can be really awkward. I can remember myself once getting caught out here trying to go into church, and the wind, battling, and it just suddenly stopped, and I nearly came off the inside of it. So. Yeah, right. It can be pretty mega.
OK, well, here we go. Then you can see on screen, this is the Triumph Triple Challenge. They're just heading out there now onto their warm-up lap, so it's time to get underway with the Triumph Triple Challenge here at Thruxton. Let's go over to our commentators for this one, and it is James Whittam. And alongside him, just getting ready to take off, is Jack Bernicle with the triples.
One man getting ready to take off is Freddie Pett, because having dominated the two races at Brands Hatch Indy a week ago, the Freddie Pett has put himself on pole position with a time that is 0.7 of a second quicker than anybody else on the grid. So Freddie Pett, number 66, on pole position once again, and he's with a time of 1:26.262, which of course doesn't sound very quick because it was done in extremely sketchy conditions. I'm sure he'll lap a good deal quicker in the very dry conditions we've got here. Interestingly, the second place man behind him is the lad from Colchester who won the Triumph Triple Challenge last year, and that's Tom Oliver. So perhaps we're going to see something a bit more from Tom this week than we saw last week, because the Triple Challenge it's a young guns thing, the Triumph Young Guns thing, I beg your pardon, that gets you promoted into the Triple Challenge if you win it. The previous winner had been Chrissy Rouse, who of course is lying second in the overall championship now. But the Triumph Young Guns competition has been won by Tom Oliver in 2012. So he's put himself second on the grid, ahead of Chrissy Rouse, his predecessor as Young Guns champion. And Daniel Fuller's in third place, and the second row of the grid headed by the experienced South African Phil Atkinson, who's been trying to win this championship for several years, bless him, without success yet. James, you must have... What championships did you pursue and never quite achieve? I suppose World Supersport for a start.
Pretty much all of them.
Oh, but excuse me, you did win.
Yeah, I did won British Superbikes, won British Production Championship and a 125 one as well. But yeah, World Championship ones. I mean, you know, as long as you're running up front and you feel competitive, you want to win the championship, sure, but you know, winning races is all right, and if you're in a competitive championship and you don't win it, maybe that's my problem. Maybe I should have been more focused and never taken, you know, second as a result. But I enjoy my racing, and I won some decent races at world level, and I'm quite happy with that.
You certainly did. The Triumph Triple Challenge at the moment then, look, Freddie Pett, 2 race wins, 50 points, because of course they couldn't race yesterday because of the rain. This is their one race here this weekend at Thruxton. Chrissy Rouse is in second place, joint second place with the aforementioned Philip Atkinson. Daniel Fuller is fourth, and then Charlie King in fifth place. Tom Hayward, another of the veteran drivers, 30-year-old now, in sixth place. Had a Ben Taylor, Piers Hutchins, Little and Cox. And outside that top 10, you've got James Jones, Pitchers, Alicia from Spain, Hellier, Corbino, Tom Oliver, who only got that one solitary point at Brands Hatch, and Shelley. The starting grid, Freddie Pett on pole position ahead of Tom Oliver, Chrissy Rouse and Dan Fuller. A second row of the grid headed by Phil Atkinson from Dan Hellier, Luke Shelley and Sam Cox. The third row of the grid, would you believe it, dear old Fagan's back, riding for Fast Bikes magazine as a guest artiste. Alistair Fagan, Tom Hayward, Scott Pitchers and Charlie King. And the fourth row of the grid, Alex, Alicia, Sam Middlemass, Kieran Newman and Robert Goodall. So this, the Triumph Triple Challenge. The Young Guns, incidentally, is open to all amateur ACU licensed riders aged between 15 and 20. And won by the lad in the bright blue machine, you can see distinctively, second on the grid. Chrissy Rouse is equally distinctive, powder blue and white bike, third on the grid. But look at the start made by Freddie Pett. He absolutely took no prisoners there. He just launched off the pad, and he now clearly has, a potential race win in hand. But look how fast Phil Atkinson got off the second row of the grid. Atkinson out he got the wrong side of Freddie Pett. I thought he was going to lunge up the inside and take the lead. But Atkinson from the second row of the grid, I think he is doing.
He has.
Not taking no for an answer. Well done, Philip. So Phil Atkinson, perhaps he can make a race of it round here, James.
Yeah, perhaps he can. Use a bit of slipstream. Normally, it's a circuit where it's really difficult to actually get away, especially when they're all on almost identical bikes. You know, it's a circuit that promotes a bit of slipstreaming and packs of people going around together. So we'll see. The man, Alistair Fagan, qualified in 9th. I've been on loads of kind of bike launches with him. Good journalist is Alistair, and he loves it here. Remember, not so long ago, maybe 3 or 4 years, he won a KTM Super Duke Challenge-Round here.
Yes, on one of his famous wildcard appearances.
But he does like it here.
So it's lovely to be able to choose your wildcard appearances. And Philip Atkinson has the speed, yes, to hold on down Woodham Hill as Chrissy Rouse tries to find a way past the number 22 machine of Dan Fuller from Milton under Wychwood. It's on the Danik Racing Triumph. A sweet place to come from.
It sounds like it's got a nice church and a thatched roof or two.
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it's probably got a kind of biscuit factory bang in the middle of it or something, and it's smoking chimneys. Philip Atkinson leads the way. Second place for Freddie Pett, the 6'4" East Anglian. Third place at the moment then for Fuller. Fourth, Chrissy Rouse, the curly-haired little Geordie lad ahead of Tom Hayward and Dan Hellier. And you were absolutely right, James. There was I thinking that Freddie was going to just cream this race, and suddenly we have got a competition on our hands because of the nature of the circuit.
Yeah, exactly that. Doing a lap in practice when you're on your own, and people trying to avoid people using a slipstream and getting, you know, slipstreaming them for a fast lap as one thing. Actually getting a result in a race and being able to clear it off is quite another. Because if you tend to put your head down, you tend to suck other people with you. Obviously, if somebody is lapping, you know, 3 seconds lap quicker, well, they're going to get away. But I'm not sure in this case whether Freddie Pett, the man there, number 66, in second at the minute, he's going to be able to do that.
Here comes Chrissy Rouse round the outside. He got a double draft there, real double bubble effect.
That's
and drifted through.
It's exactly what it's known as, a double bubble, Jack. I didn't know if you knew that or not.
And then he disappears into the mists of time before he re-emerges in the lead. And that's the second of 12 laps complete here. And Chrissy Rouse moves to the front. And that was almost said happy-go-lucky Geordie, former 125 GP championship runner, just turned 17th in October 2012. Suddenly has a bit of a lead now over those two, two white machines of Atkinson and Pett.
Full up.
Chrissy Rouse, number 55 from Newcastle, at the Thruxton-Triumph Racing is the team that he's riding for. All these guys, of course, have to get together different sponsors to compete. Philip Atkinson on the Tsingtao WK bikes, Pure Triumph, whatever all that means.
Tsingtao, that's beer.
Oh, it's of course.
It's beer. Tsingtao's beer. It's nice
very,
beer,
very nice beer.
Not that you'd know. I've been having a shandy every 6 months.
You'd be surprised. I actually do. I am acquainted with that beer, so I was very remiss of me not to realise what it was.
Beer, one whiff of the barmaid's apron, you don't floor, you.
And Chrissy Rouse, he knows that he needs a race win. He was saying at Brands Hatch that he's got to somehow start finding it in him to win these races. He says that the new tyres they've got on these bikes this year, James, he's just taking a little while to get used to them, and he says he's a bit cautious early on in a race and he needs to push on earlier on.
Yeah, it's quite funny, tyres, you know. You can get used to a tyre, the way it reacts. You can change tyre manufacturers or tyre types, and you can have just as much grip but not the same amount of feel. It's really weird how different people suit a different kind of tyre, or not so.
And we're looking back downfield at the moment. It's Rouse, Atkinson, Pett at the front, and then Fuller, Pitchers, Hayward, Cox, Oliver, Hellier and Charlie King rounding out that top 10, with Chrissy Rouse with almost a second advantage as they cross the line.
That's massive here.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're looking, Luke Shelley, we're looking for Alistair Fagan's out there, number 4, riding at the moment in 14th place.
14th.
Riding for...
somebody's got his hand up, number 43, that was Taylor, yeah. What's happened? Has he seen a flag somewhere, or...?
Ben Taylor on the Devitt Insurance On-Gar Motorcycles Triumph, just playing safe.
He's continuing to wave his left arm about. I don't know what he's obviously got an issue and he's pulling in.
And he's slowing down, but not a lot.
Well,
yeah, he is now.
If you are going to pull in, you need to keep out of people's way. And obviously, if you've got something coming out the bottom of your bike, cool and oily, get off the track. He obviously hasn't got that, but he doesn't want to get clobbered by somebody still on race pace.
Here's Freddie Pett, number 66, under a little bit of pressure there. He's got through to second place, but Dan Fuller is giving him a bit of a hard time there. Number 22, Fuller, on the Danik Racing Triumph, tackling Freddie Pett, the runaway race winner at Brands Hatch Indy. Now Pett's through to second place, so if he's got clear track, it'll be interesting to see whether he can make ground now on Chrissy Rouse.
Exactly that. He'd have to be just slightly closer to being the slipstream from where he is now, off the back of Chrissy Rouse.
Chrissy Rouse, who goes to Emmanuel College in Gateshead, just across the River Tyne, of course, from Newcastle.
What's he
studying his A-levels, maths with mechanics, physics and economics.
There you go.
And at the moment, leading the way from Freddie Pett, third place for Fuller, fourth for the gloriously named Pitchers. That would be Scott Pitchers from Lower Compton on the Team SP Racing Triumph. And then behind him, Phil Atkinson, Tom Hayward. It's fascinating by how a guy can, like Atkinson, look really competitive for 2 laps, and then suddenly he's kind of drift right off the back of the leading group.
It wasn't a mistake he made. He didn't lose it all at once. He did drift off.
Here comes Freddie Pett. I just somehow had a sneaking feeling that leggy East Anglian would be making his presence felt. And look at this, sitting up into the slipstream. He can do plenty of that as he drops down to the club chicane, and he's close right down to. Oh, he got down! He hit the curb hard and just rattled himself off.
He didn't. He clipped the back of Chrissy Rouse. That's what's happened. Yeah, it sent him straight over the top. Unless I'm very much mistaken, he clipped the back of Chrissy Rouse. He went in just a little bit quicker than Chrissy Rouse. Watch, she goes in. Yep.
Oh, he did.
That's it.
Good heavens.
That's exactly what happened. And I'll tell you what. It was going wide. He was dragging the brake all the way in there. He just couldn't lay into the left-hand part of the club chicane, and that's, well, pretty painful as well, I would suggest that. He went down with a fair thwack.
So, all 6'4" of a slightly dazed Freddie Pett then trudges off, and suddenly he's opened the championship up a bit for these boys.
It's going to be a fairly long trip back to Kings Lynn, is that, I'll tell you. He'll be aching as he drives the motorhome back.
Chrissy Rouse then leads the way. What can he do? For a lad whose favourite tracks are Alton Park, Cadwell Park and Brands Hatch, is leading here at Thruxton.
Most of these riders are on the new 6M5R Triumph. You'd be able to tell, it's dead easy to tell. There's lots of differences to the bike. The engine's lighter internal parts, revs a bit more. Still same layout, 3 cylinders across the frame, 6M5cc, same displacement. But the biggest difference to look at is the fact that it's not got the underseat exhaust on the new bike. It exits under the right-hand side of the fairing and pops up the right-hand side of the swing arm. So you'll see that. Certainly you won't be able to see on the new bike the seat exiting under the exhaust exiting under the seat.
Rob Guyver, of course, was a huge runaway winner of this championship last year. He and James Egan, the runner-up, have gone off into Super Sport. Philip Atkinson still here. Chrissy Rouse finished 4th in the championship. And Dan Fuller, who's putting in a terrific pursuit of Chrissy Rouse here on bike number 22, the red and white machine. He finished 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11th place in the championship. So he certainly. Sorry, I have.
Today counting with Jack Bernicle.
That's not my strong point. But he only got 91. He did have two fourth place finishers, one at Alton Park and one at Snetterton. Well, he's certainly bettering that at the moment. Although you can see that Scott Pitchers and Philip Atkinson aren't really out of it yet. Philip's going to prove me completely wrong here. He's going to come right back into the fray. Look, he's in 4th place with that distinctive South African helmet. And just ahead of him, Scott Pitchers, number 111. And that's the front 4 then, who've broken really clear of the battle involving Hayward, Cox, Charlie King and Tom Oliver. And there's Alistair Fagan, number 4, on the second of those white machines, getting his head down in pursuit of number 27, Sam Middlemass. Oh, deciding to go around the outside. Well, brave stuff. Oh, well done, Fagan.
He's a big lad, but he can pedal one round. He
is big.
Yeah, he's a big lad. He's a funny bloke. He got proper sense of humour. Bit kind of a
Oh, no, he's not so sure of Allard's, mate. He did rather shut it off a bit there, didn't he?
Yeah, he likes it here, though. You know, if he's going to do a wildcard, it would always be here, because he can always get a result here. And, you know, not to be not in racing, then do one race, it's a big ask.
Yeah.
It really is.
These lads, of course, all race prepped and sharp, razor sharp. Oh, look at this. Scott Pitchers is impressive as well. He's really putting himself into the mix here.
And you know, we're talking about Alistair Fagan. As a road test editor of a magazine, it adds a certain amount of you know, credibility when you go test a bike, and your opinion is, for me, more valid. Here we go, battle for the front.
The powder blue bike at the front there of Chrissy Rouse, and look at this, the red and white bike of number 22, Dan Fuller, sneaks his way back through into second place. Just behind him, number 111, a famous number, of course, made absolutely immortal by the likes of Jean-Michel Bale and Aaron Slight. And here's Philip Atkinson launching his attack. That distinctive South African flag of a helmet goes through, and that giveaway to me straight away, number 111, looks over his shoulder as if to say, is there another one coming?
Nah, but
now, Scott, I think now you need to launch an attack. I suppose if the track behind is clear, then you can go where you want.
Exactly, and you've not got to worry about you setting somebody up and somebody using the same to get past you, you know.
At the moment, in the championship standings, by the way, behind Freddie Pett, we've got Chrissy Rouse, Phil Atkinson, Dan Fuller in 4th place, Charlie King next up, and Scott Pitcher's way down, just outside the top 10. So this is a good ride for him. That's a beautiful colour scheme and leathers on that Chrissy Rouse has there.
Yeah, and he's actually this. If he has a good doing this race, he'll lead the championship. It's quite important for him.
Yeah, if he can. If he stays where he is, he'll definitely lead the championship if he doesn't lose his foot off the peg too often. And also, even if he were to finish second, for example, he'd still lead it.
Or third.
Or third.
Yeah.
And look, here we are. Philip Atkinson straight back into the fray, launches himself through to second place. Scott Pitchers follows suit. Oops.
Like we said, though, Jack, because of the nature of the circuit, this is what happens. You get groups that can't really get rid of each other.
I'd love to know what caused Phil Atkinson to kind of seemingly nod off a bit in the middle of the race, and suddenly the 29-year-old's right back in it.
It didn't, because normally when you see that, it's because you make a mistake somewhere, run on, you lose the 3 or 4 seconds in one go, and then battle your way back. In Philip's case, it just seemed to be the fact that he did nod off, he dropped back gradually, you think he were finished, and now he's right back on it. Back on the back wheel of the leader, Chrissy Rouse now.
So and this is it, Philip Atkinson threatening now to snatch a race win from underneath the nose of Chrissy Rouse, but the young Geordie still sticking in there at the front. So the Stratson Racing Bike, that beautiful white, blue and red machine, leading him, going very, very wide as they go out into the country. Philip Atkinson keeping it tighter, looking for a possible way through.
Yeah, but Chrissy Rouse then carried the speed as they came out the corner.
Didn't he? Yes. Yeah. And how?
Got to get in the slipstream now, and that looks a big gap, but because you're going so quick, you're still in the tail end of the slipstream there.
Yes. Chrissy, of course, a 125 exponent before he moved into the Triumphs last year, and he carries those kind of lines, doesn't he, as well?
Big, wide, sweeping 125 lines. He looked a big lad his last year in 125s, didn't he?
Yeah, he grew suddenly.
Yeah.
As you tend to do when you're in your early mid-teens, I suppose.
I'm still waiting.
Meanwhile, as they go off out towards the complex, once again, the 11th of 12 laps, the penultimate lap now. This is where we get down to the pointed end of the race. And at the moment, Rouse still has the advantage over Phil Atkinson. And Atkinson, who's he's done a lot of winning during the course of this championship, although he just had the one victory at the Brands Hatch. He also won at Alton Park last year on his way to 3rd place in the championship.
Well, for me, Philip Atkinson there, the guy on the white bike there, was just in the shot. He is perfectly placed now.
Would you be going for a pass at this stage rather than leaving it to the last lap, James? Would you be trying for one now?
Yeah, it depends where you're quick and where you think the guy you're racing with isn't. You've got to get past, and if you can get past before a bit of the track, so they're complex, that you'll feel a bit strong, and you can pull a bit of time out there. But you don't really want to leave it to the last lap, because
he's much closer here.
He is, and you don't want to leave it to the last lap, because if it doesn't work or you make a mistake doing it, you're snookered.
And he just wasn't close enough to be able to outbrake Chrissy down there. Meanwhile, Fuller Reed is still just back into that third place ahead of Pictures. And of course, that means the difference between standing on the rostrum and not, which is a nice way to end your racing day.
Of course.
Now, surging around into the final lap, the front four: Chrissy Rouse, Phil Atkinson, Dan Fuller, Scott Pictures. This is the Triumph Triple Challenge. And behind them, Sam Cox, Tom Hayward, Charlie King, Tom Oliver.
To me, Atkinson looks strong at the complex, which is where they are now, Campbell, Cobb and Seagrave, but he didn't really look quick enough to mount an attack going into the club chicane, which is pretty much the only place he's got left now.
I was just wondering if you were him, would you perhaps follow Chris Rouse's line out into the country now and carry a bit more speed?
Yeah, instead of that really tight line that doesn't seem to carry the speed out the corner. He's looking good though.
This time he's staying slightly outside. Well, you know that Chris is going to go wide. Oh, he really is going for the wide line. He's trying to get around the outside of it.
No, he's trying to set himself up for a run up the back straight into the chicane.
Right, here we go. So Atkinson thinking ahead here, but Rouse knows what he'll be thinking of, and the former young gun champion keeping it pinned as they head down Woodham Hill for the final time here at Thruxton.
Not close enough.
He's not close enough, surely, as Scott Pictures launches through into third place ahead of Dan Fuller. Fuller tries to make a move back, retakes it. Chrissy Rouse has the advantage as they go through the chicane. Absolutely together. Atkinson pins it underneath Chrissy Rouse as they go towards the line. Rouse goes wide, and I think just takes the verdict by 0.087 of a second. And the fastest lap of the race on the last lap to Scott Pictures, 1:21.178. And across the line there, Cox, Charlie King, Tom Hayward, 5th, 6th and 7th, 8th, Tom Oliver. Fagan's in this battle. Alistair Fagan there, third in
shot,
group.
I think. Third in shot is Fagan.
And he's
black and fluorescent leathers, there he is, and he's dropped a couple, I think.
And as he exits the chicane now, we've seen Dan Hellier cross the line, and Fagan's just going to miss out on a top 10 position. He finishes in 12th place ahead of Sam Middlemouse and behind Alex Aulistia of Spain. So a good ride by our part-timer from Fast Bikes magazine, and a terrific ride by number 55, Chrissy Rouse. He takes the championship lead after that uncharacteristic error from Freddie Pett, which means that he's right back in it. The lad who won the 2010 Aprilia Super Teams Championship by 127 points, which sounds a preposterous margin, taking 2 lap records on the way. 2011, Chrissy Rouse went to the British 125 GP Championship, did just 10 rounds, finished 15th in the championship. Second half of the season, he was teammates with Rob Guyver, and I think he'd like to take over Rob's mantle as Triumph Triple Champion now. And the A-level student from Gateshead could just do that. Chrissy Rouse then wins on his Triumph. They're all on Triumphs, of course, it being the Triumph Triple Challenge. Chrissy Rouse, number 55, on the Stratton racing bike. Philip Atkinson in second place on the Tsingtao WK bikes. And Dan Fuller in third place. Scott Pictures in fourth ahead of Sam King. Charlie King finishes sixth ahead of Tom Hayward and the new boy Tom Oliver. Dan Hellier 9th and James Jones in 10th place. 11th for Aulicia, 12th for Alistair Fagan ahead of Sam Middlemass and the number 74 machine of Gavin Little for Bracknell. And the last point goes to Luke Shelley ahead of Beardsley, Waldron, Bexon, Wood and Goodall. And following that famous firm of solicitors, let's check out the standings after 3 of 18 races, and 61 points for the new leader, Chrissy Rouse. Phil Atkinson also moves through into second place in the championship after that entertainingly inconsistent race, moves back into second in the race, second in the championship. Freddie Pett is third in the championship now, 11 points off the lead, but 10 ahead of Dan Fuller in fourth. Charlie King is fifth ahead of Tom Hayward. Sam Cox seventh ahead of Scott Pictures, who leaps into 8th place from the Ben Taylor and James Jones. And 11th place for the boy Gavin Little ahead of Piers, Hutchins, Aulicia, Hellier, Oliver, Fagan, Middlemass, Shelley and Corbino. And this is how the race panel, look at the angle there of Freddie Pett, just making sure he was going to take no prisoners off the start. He just launched himself to the front. And I thought he just might be headed for running away with it, but as James Whittam predicted, at Thruxton, you can't break away. And this turned into a colossal contest with Chrissy Rouse just absolutely popping the double bubble to put himself into the lead. And that was actually a crucial move, because he was never really headed from that point on. Freddie Pett in second place at that point, Phil Atkinson challenging hard in third. Freddie Pett did come back on Chrissy Rouse, but then made that mistake, clipped the back wheel of the Geordie boy, flicked himself, winded himself over the bars, all 6'4" of him, and out of the race. Meanwhile, Alistair Fagan was involved in some fisticuffs there. Number 4, the Fast Bikes journalist, having one of his one-off rides in this Triumph Triple Challenge series here at Thruxton, his favoured circuit. Chrissy Rouse running at the front, now found that Phil Atkinson had completely regrouped and decided he could challenge for the lead. And on the final lap, trying to get round the outside as they surged round Goodwood towards Church Corner, Chrissy Rouse hung on at that point, and Phil Atkinson couldn't quite get close enough as Dan Fuller sat up Scott Pitchers to snatch back third place. And as they launched themselves towards the line, the 17-year-old Geordie took victory just by 0.8087 of a second. Well done, Chrissy Rouse, the new championship leader.
Well, we are here with our third place finisher, Dan Fuller. Dan, you managed to hold them off right to the end there, but even right going into that chicane for the final time, you had a plan, and if you were close enough, you were ready for it.
Yeah, my game plan was just to try and sit behind Chrissy for the race, because I knew he was obviously in the front and he was leading, and I thought second place position going into the chicane was the best place to obviously make a manoeuvre on the last lap, and I knew I was quite strong on the brakes there. And then Phil came through, and so did Scott Pitchers. He made a good move into there as well. They both come past. So it was just a case of try and resolve and get what I could out of it. So I was pleased with the result, though. Good podium for me and good points.
Definitely. You were a demon late breaker going into that chicane. Well done on the podium. We'll let you go to it.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Thanks, Dan. Dan Fuller there, our third place finisher. Now, Philip Atkinson. Now, listen, Phil, I know you're still hurting after the injuries you sustained at Brands Hatch, but you don't look too happy with your second place finish. Is that because you think you tipped your hand a bit early coming around Church on that final time of asking?
Yeah, you know, it was a difficult race. I was just trying to hang in there. The pain at the high speed change of directions is really sore on the ribs, so I was just trying to hang in there, and then I saw Freddie go down, and you know he was the championship leader, so I just thought, well, you know, try and get the best I can, and got past the guys. And Chrissy, you know, it was just if I was going to try, it was just going to be a do or die manoeuvre. So I tried to stay till the end and you know take some points until I'm fit and healthy, and maybe we can start going for wins then.
Very impressive ride, all things considered. Very impressive ride if you were fully fit as well. But another great outing for you, Philip. Well done. We'll let you go to the podium.
Cool. Just like to say a big thanks to Qingdao Beer, WK Bikes, Dave from Hampshire Motorcycles, Pure Triumph, and everyone else that's helped me get here. Cheers, guys.
Nicely done. Right, let's bring our race winner in then, Chrissy Rouse. Well, Chrissy, the perfect ride, really. You came under incredible pressure from Philip, but you kept a cool head and managed to bag the win.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I'm just over the moon. I was watching my pit board, and it was going up to like 0.5, then 0.1, and unfortunately I felt someone hit the back of my wheel at the chicane, and then I realised it was Freddie. Obviously it's good for the championship, but it's not nice to finish. And I would have enjoyed a good battle with Freddie, because I'm sure he would have been right up there. So yeah, I'm just over the moon with the win. First one this year, and hopefully first of many. So
yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely see you on top of the podium again. Very well done, Chrissy.
Thanks. Cheers. Thanks.
We'll let Chrissy go to the podium now, and while the boys make their way over to the podium, Jack will take us through the proceedings.
Well done, Chrissy Rouse. Chrissy Rouse, it was during 2011 that he entered the Triumph Young Guns competition. You get chosen as one of the 10 finalists, and that kind of encompasses all aspects of racing, from diet and fitness through to media training and time on track with none other than World Superbike legend Frankie Keeley. He made the final 3. Chosen to race actually here at Thruxton on Triumph Daytona 675s, and then won the competition, and the prize was a ride in the Triumph Triple Challenge last year. He finished obviously high up in that championship last year, and now he's going for victory in it this year. The gallant Phil Atkinson, I'd forgotten about those cracked ribs from Brands Hatch, so still in some discomfort, but a brave ride from the South African. Couldn't quite nail the victory, but for Chrissy Rouse, well, what better way to put yourself on top of the championship table than to win the race And Guy Masters, General Manager of Triumph, presents the awards then. It's a great little series, this, and leads on, of course, to the prize of a Super Sport race, a sponsored ride in the British Super Sport Championship, which Rob Guyver is enjoying now. And Chrissy Rouse obviously has that in mind. So still only 17 with his A-levels yet to come. Chrissy Rouse wins here at Thruxton and takes the lead in the Triumph Triple Challenge Championship.
So there we go then, the Triumph Triple Challenge is finished with here at Thruxton, but we're not finished yet because we're going for a short break. But when we come back, plenty more action on the way. It's the three-wheelers. The Sidecar Championship is next.